The War of the Two Roses is a war between two royal houses of Plantagenet, the House of York and Lancaster. The definition was given in the 19th century and it refers to the symbols of these houses, a white rose for the Yorks and a red one for the Lancasters. Henry VI becomes king when he was only 9 months, and in 1455 he marries Margaret d'Anjou. The Yorks take advantage of his mental illness, and therefore the Duke of Warwick, the king's nephew, appoints Richard of York as Lord Protector. He wanted to dethrone, but the birth of the king's son hinders his will. In the meanwhile, Margaret ambushes the York in Wakefield Green, and Richard is killed after the defeat of the Lancaster. Edward IV, Richard's son, becomes king. Edward IV, after having escaped to Bourgogne thanks to the support of his troops, defeat the Lancaster definitely. They kill the Duke and capture the King Henry with his family. After Edward IV's death, his brother Richard, Duke of Gloucester, succeeds in declaring the heir to the throne Edward V as unlawful, and he becomes king under the name of Richard III. In the meantime, Harry Tudor, a member of the House of Lancaster, defeats Richard III in Bosworth. Richard's death marks the end of this long and bloody war. Harry becomes king as Henry VII, the first of the Tudors. Lately, he will reconnect the two families by getting married with Elizabeth of York, Edward I's daughter. The movie Richard III is based on the novel written by Shakespeare, which is about the War of the Two Roses, even if it's set in England during the 20s. At the end of this civil war, the King Henry is killed and Edward takes the throne, Clarence and Richard's brother. He aims to kill all his legitimate heirs. At this point, the alleged heir is the Prince of Wales, who is taken prisoner and killed with his brother in the tower of the castle. The Prince Richmond, with the support of Lord Stanley, the Duke of Birmingham, and the Duchess of York, Richard's mother, try to stop the ferocity of Richard. One night, the king is visited by the ghost of all the people he had killed, who predict his death. In fact, the following day, there is a conflict between Richmond's supporters and Richard, who tries in vain to escape, going up to the roof of a building. Richmond tries to shoot him, but it's too late. Richard doesn't want to give in to him and decides to commit suicide by jumping from the roof. The movie ends while Richard was falling down and he is swallowed by the flames. The White Queen is a British television drama series set during the period of the Wars of the Two Roses. The TV series is focused on the three women involved in the conflict: Elizabeth Woodville, the Queen of the White Rose, Margaret Beaufort, the Queen of the Red Rose, and Anne Neville, the future Queen. The story begins when the Yorks take the throne and Elizabeth, widow and with 2 children, ends up in a desperate economic condition. In order to ensure a good life to her children, she succeeds in marrying Edward IV, who falls completely in love with her, falling in her trap. They got married secretly. Nonetheless, Lord Warwick, Anne and Margaret will do everything possible to keep her away from the throne. Both adaptations are based on an important event of the British history, even if the main characters are different. For instance, the movie is focused on the atrocity of Richard III since he wanted to take the throne at any cost. The director Locraine decides to set those events in the 19th century, comparing Richard II and his brutality to the period of totalitarianism. On the contrary, the series is focused on the women that, albeit their minor role, changed the course of the conflict.